Fore. What up, T-Rock?
Morning, Josh. What's happening?
Loopers for life. That's what's happening.
That's right.
Game 30. How about us?
30.
30 of them.
How about that? 30.
I can't believe we have this much time to just sit here and BS with each
30.
other, dude. And then we ran off our partner. We had so many of these scheduled.
What? I'm still not understanding why we can't get him back off the golf course.
He's a highly requested looper. There's no doubt. And I mean, when he's not looping, he's over there working on the secret fundamentals of the game. Sometimes he likes to put his, back against the tree like Big Bear in the Jungle Book and just sit there and make some swings. I mean, you'll see Joey everywhere.
He works on his game quite a bit, doesn't he?
Either that or he's just on Twitter all the time. And
he is on Twitter all the time, posting swings.
Yeah, and how about him? He got a really good following and name recognition with the Club Pro guy. Oh, we got to talk about the Club Pro guy.
Yeah.
I mean, is that guy not the best?
It's pretty awesome. And, and he's making some money with that apparel stuff.
Is he making money? I mean, I got like 3 shirts,
yeah.
Yucatan Masters. I had a Yucatan Masters shirt on, and I was down at the L.A. Riviera. You know where that is?
Yeah.
Gulf Shores, Alabama, Row Tide. And I was down there, and this guy walked by. He was like, man, I heard that was a great golf course. I was at a restaurant. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is. It's fantastic.
Right.
I said they got 3 holes right there. I mean, you got to watch out for it.
That's
the Devil State. And if you have that, I mean, you're going to, he has killed it.
Yep.
I mean, those shirts and his apparel and 3 Jack National.
Yeah, he's done well for sure.
How he's, taken that social media handle and made the PIMP program just like this past week, the Heroes World Challenge. Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods everywhere.
You mentioned off air just now that it was kind of a made-for-TV thing, and Tiger was hitting balls nonstop. So he's grinding. He's obviously trying to get ready to get back.
It was awesome. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of time to be able to watch that this weekend and really didn't see any of the golf coverages. But on Twitter, I mean, just recording his swings that were, that he was posting up. I mean, it was incredible just to see. I mean, there's speed, there's athleticism there. There's Tiger saying, hey, you know what? I could play golf. Might not play golf all the time, but I may show up and play in the Masters and the U.S. Open and, Jack Nicklaus's tournament here and Arnold Palmer's there. I mean, what's convenient for him in his life. And, especially now, his family life. I mean, Charlie's
being a dad's
player.
important to him right now.
Right. And I mean, and they don't even talk about his firstborn, Sam,
right?
Who, probably is very athletic. It would be interesting to just know what she's doing. I
if she does anything,
is she a first-class soccer player?
Volleyball? Who knows?
She has to be.
You would think.
Oh, there's no doubt. Even though it might not be on the golf course, I bet she's somewhere. And if she is not dominating that, she's the best teammate on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She's got that Tiger Woods genes, man.
You got to be great.
You would think.
So
you would think. What'd you think of his swings? Does it look like he's in form? What did it look like to you?
It looked like, the ones that I have recorded, that he is not only in form, that he has the form. So he's not in form. I mean, but he has the form. He's going to have the strength and the athleticism. How much he can go out and put on that grind. And if he figures out what that grind is to him, maybe it's just, the old Hogan thing where he would go down to Seminole and he would practice a week before the Masters or 2 weeks before the Masters and just play that one golf course.
Right.
And then show up at the Masters and be at the top of the leaderboard for years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to figure that he's going to have some sort of plan that where the form that he has, Teague.
Yeah.
It's gonna be enough to where he's gonna be out there playing.
Is leg sleeve Tiger something we're gonna see forever now?
I'm looking for that leg sleeve in the church sleeve, bro.
But seriously, that's like that's a staple for him now, I guess.
Well, you won't be able to see it playing in the majors, but I'm sure you're gonna see it on the practice round. When he's wearing shorts.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, anything that I've seen of him lately, it's got that leg sleeve.
Well,
on.
he's going to have some protection in there. I mean, he broke his stuff. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, that he's even able to walk, just like Mike said when we had, Master Thomas on here, is that he's able to walk and get around and be able to, hop in the cart and watch Charlie play.
Yeah.
Or, go over whatever volleyball game that his daughter's dominating.
Right.
But I think that, there's no doubt that him and this appearance this past weekend on the Heroes World Challenge, I mean, it was a limited field event. Victor Hovland,
Yep.
claimed his second title of the fall season.
God, man, that guy's game is so good.
Oh yeah, he's unbelievable.
He's so good.
He's the now seventh in the world, the second highest ranked European on the world golf ranking list. Even though it was an unofficial win because there was a limited field, it was his second dub of the fall season.
Right.
And, and I think that he played fantastic golf coming all the way through. And so, like, going to the whole Tiger thing, back to it, is that, he was there and, it was great for the game. He moved the needle again, showing exactly why the PGA Tour ought to be paying him whatever money that he wants to get from this social media influencer program that they're putting together, this pimp program from the PGA Tour. Ain't nobody pimping more than Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And I mean, and he proved it. And then Sunday, he's wearing this Tiger Woods red, form-fitting shirt. I mean, he's all out there in spandex and everything. He's got compression and everything. This guy's been compression everything for the last. I mean, he invented compression.
He did. He did.
There was no compression in football or anything until Tiger Woods brought out the compression golf shirts.
Man,
the form-fitting. I mean, they snapped it in there. And,
he just showed off his guns.
And Nike bought into it. I mean, basically, the only thing that was close to it probably was jogging.
Yep. I'm looking at a SI Play article here, and the title is SI Play, a Sports Illustrated article. Will Tiger Woods play the PNC Championship? Let's hope not. The danger far outweighs the benefits, writes Morning Read's Mike Perkey, who's not buying that Tiger is close to being able to play golf less than a year from the February car accident. What do you make of that?
Well, I make that this guy may be right. I mean, but also at the same time, if he wants to go out there and play a scramble, I mean, the format's a scramble. I mean, it's a fun format with the kids or your parents, so it may not be your kid per se, but it could be your dad. And I would think that, they got carts. I mean, this isn't like a regular tour event where he's out there walking the entire time.
Now, look, if this headline was, will Tiger Woods play the Masters or something like that, okay, well, maybe I can buy into that. But the PNC Championship is not something that, even if he doesn't go out and play well, he's not going to embarrass himself. I mean, gosh, there's some of these old guys out there that are just slapping it around in that thing.
Well, and he may not want to do it just because of the exposure to Charlie. I mean, now he's already done that, and maybe he was comfortable with it, but now, he's putting it all on Charlie to carry the team.
Yeah, it's so funny. I remember Danny Barron one time after playing in the Pro Junior, walking off the course, asked Danny how he did, and he said, well, first hole, I hooked one left out of bounds, and I looked over at 8-year-old, and I said, you better play hard. It's kind of like, it'd be tough to put Charlie in that situation.
You better make sure it's a real quote because he'll fact check us.
Oh, he is. That's a real quote.
There's a Looper for Life fact checker right there.
That's a real quote. We need to get DB on the show.
Oh, he'd be a great one.
He's the new section president, right?
He is recently voted on by his peers to move up the ranks of the board.
I mean, he's the best, right?
Yeah,
as good as it gets.
The president of the Kentucky section. I mean, and when you have that role, it's just like, when we had Jack in here. I mean, what you're doing is you are putting aside time out of your daily grind.
Yeah.
And not just your daily grind professionally, but the daily grind that you have for your family.
Yeah.
And you're doing this a separate little,
right,
kind of organization and leading it to, greater heights.
And it's tough, man, because
he's a great leader. So this is
he's awesome.
We just had a fantastic one. I mean, Craig Hebert. I mean, one of the most forward-thinking PGA professionals in America, if you ask me. I mean, and this moment right here is brought to you by Persimmon Ridge Polo Fields and Oxmoor Country Club. 3 clubs, 1 price. Contact one of the members of the professional staff there, and they will get you hooked up to get membership information.
It just, to me, it says something when a guy like Steve Schaefer, who's accomplished as he is, who was a club GM at arguably the best club in town, goes to go work for a guy like Craig to go be a golf pro again.
Right.
Says a lot about Craig.
Well, and I mean, and Steve is a former, PGA president for the Kentucky section. I mean, you look at the staffing that has always came out of Hurstbourne Country Club.
Always top notch.
With Mr. Osborne to begin with. I mean, and the years and the dedication that that he took out of the time for the PGA because he was a national board member too, I believe.
Yeah.
Or, that guy really went above and beyond.
Yeah.
And stuff that, Craig and Steve and what Danny's stepping into and just really they have been the root system for the development of Kentucky golf, in my opinion, is all the head professionals and the PGA professionals that we'll never talk about. But you know what? They're the reasons why there's a JB Holmes out there.
Yeah, or Justin Thomas.
Obviously, Justin Thomas. But, I mean, you look at just the entire list, the Josh Teeters of the world.
Right.
The guys, Jarrett Wolf.
Right.
I mean, guys that are coming from non-country clubs.
Yep.
Right? They're out there coming from the fields.
Yeah.
And going around the holler and playing in a 9-hole place that's run by a guy named Donnie Caldwell,
right?
Who's one of the best PGA professionals in America too,
right?
Down there in Pike County or wherever he's out in the woods hunting right now. I mean, this guy. So it's just amazing that what guys like Danny who have obviously what they do for their facilities, but really what they do for guys like me, who are just PGA professionals out in the middle of the holler and help. Educate them, move them forward, move the section forward,
right,
and create one of the best sections in America and stuff that people look at and say, hey, you know what? What's Kentucky doing?
Right.
Because they're doing it right.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a great, basically, and I'm sure you're familiar with this. Some of our listeners may not, but Kentucky Golf is also partnered with the amateur body, which, that has the two, presented together, and then they go over and they have the golf house, which is the museum right there, and both combined offices, and it's just a unique situation. I think we're still one of only 3 sections that have that combination row of
really
amateur. Yeah, could be wrong on that. I might get fact checked on that later. But hey, Danny, congratulations! I mean, doing this, I really
pretty awesome,
looking forward to it. Yeah,
but
Craig
look,
Ebert,
Danny
Steve
and
Schaefer, Jim Osborne. I mean, the list can go on.
Yeah, the best of the best there, man.
Yeah, it is the best of the best. So let's talk about best of the best. I mean, Victor Hovland. I mean, I just want to kind of go back to him real quick. I mean, and also just kind of lead into, do you know what the FedEx Cup standings are?
I can look it up.
Yeah, who cares, right?
Right. We got I don't know. There's 10. A long way to go on that deal.
Yeah, I know. And they hype it up so much, Teague, that does it really ever even matter?
Tell you what, man, it's a lot of money.
Well, it matters that the last 3 events, I mean, obviously matter. But just the hype up and when they always talk about it, it's like, why are you telling us now, bro?
It's a really good point. and they show you where the leaderboard is now. But here's the thing, too, Josh. I mean, FedEx is paying for that.
Oh,
so there's got to be so many mentions. There's got to be so much advertisement around that whole FedEx Cup for the money that they're giving out for it. So yeah, I mean, look, yes, they're hyping it up, but they're being paid to hype it up. So
yeah, and I, again,
do you know who's winning?
Oh yeah, I got the top 10 list.
Okay,
this is my last piece of yellow paper on this pad, and it's got like probably at least 30 pieces of gum underneath it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, man, you're gonna have our new season when we get into January. You guys get a new pad.
This may or may not make the Golf House Kentucky Hall of Fame.
Hey, it should.
I doubt it would. But when you look at it, I mean, I think that it's great to see. I could care less about it. Obviously, I like it more, and I don't even know if I like it more. I just like it in the final 3, but then I have no clue when they repair, restructure, and all that. And just get me to the top 30, and let's see them play for it all.
Yeah,
and I kind of like the old school Tour Championship format. I don't like this bring it all in. If you win the Tour Championship, it ought to be, not just the top 5s throughout the season.
I agree.
I mean, I really don't like that about the FedEx Cup point standings. But going back, with Victor Hovland moving up, he is now 5th in the FedEx Cup standings and, 7th in the world. His second win that was right there. What's really incredible, Teague, is the list of winners for the fall series. It was the first time in 5 years since the PGA has come up with this around the world concept or, around the year, the calendar. And of the 5 years, this has had the 6 winners were inside the top 60. So
interesting.
you have big winners. I mean, we have Roy McIlroy, Matsuyama, Max Homa, Sam Burns got his first dub, Victor Hovland, and then you got another guy, Sung Jae M, who got his first dub on the PGA Tour.
Sam Burns, Taylor
so,
Gooch.
Every player being ranked inside the top 60. And what's crazy, what is crazy, T, listen to this. Their final round scoring average combined, 65.6.
Man.
That's going low, bro.
Scores are getting better and better.
That's going low. Final round scoring average. I mean, I saw that and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's what Victor Hovland did. I mean, he played fantastic on that final day. And, where golf used to be a game where if you put that big number up and then you can validate it behind with an even par, let's say round 2, you go 65. And the next day when you come out, I mean, how hard is it to shoot 65? Hard, right? You got to come back the next day, totally different golf course, totally different day, and you would validate it. Tour players, right? Not me. I mean, I'm coming back shooting 85 that second day if I shoot 65. But we're pro shot par.
Pro shot par. There you go.
I'm not going 80.
Yeah.
All right, pro shot par. And then when you look at that and they come back, I mean, they would shoot 71 or 70. Or even par. I mean, that's a great score, and they would be in contention and probably win that tournament, the final round with a 69. Now, if you do that and you don't come back on that final round and shoot something that's under 67, I mean, it kind of goes to the point of what all these guys are doing on the qualifying days.
Yep.
That the Monday Q dude always talks about.
Yep.
I mean, you got to go 65 or low. That was 2 strokes better than all the previous years combined for the winners.
Let me tell you something I like about Hovland, and then even Justin Thomas and some of these guys. Normally, when you're trying to be a professional athlete, whether it's basketball, football, baseball even, you've got to be a physical specimen. Victor Hovland is 5'10", 165 pounds. That is not a physical specimen.
Right.
That is a guy that obviously works on his craft, works on his body. I'm sure he's strong. But, he's long. He can compete at the highest level, not being the biggest guy out there. I love that about the game of golf.
Well, I think that's the separator from the game of golf. You can have greats. I mean, you can have greats. Ian Woosnam.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was tiny.
I mean, he was a little man, but he was stronger. He was Popeye.
Yeah, you're right.
That guy was Popeye before. I mean, I think Robin Williams played in Woosnam.
Yeah.
I mean, in that movie. So when you're exactly right, and a guy like Victor Hovland and what he's been able to accomplish in just a short period of time shows that, he was the real deal when he came across the pond to go to Oklahoma State.
Yeah, real deal. When he came from Norway.
Yeah, and being the first Norwegian player ever to kind of ascend these ranks, I mean, he's already went higher than what Bernard Langer probably has been. Now, Bernard Langer won 2 Masters. I mean,
right, so that's going to be hard to top. And has played at a high level for a lot of years.
Right, and still doing it. I mean, what he's accomplishing is one of the great stories in golf, and if you ask me, and we have alluded to it before here on this show. So I think that you see guys like him, you see guys that pound for pound, little guys that can pound the ball.
Yep.
And I mean, and it gives them a chance because this game does not care your size. Colin Morikawa.
Yeah.
I mean, he's world number 2 right now, right?
Yep.
And I think world number 1 is Jon Rahm. Can you have 2 more polar opposites?
Right. Jon Rahm's a big physical dude.
Right. Kills the ball.
Yeah.
Hey, and guess what? Colin Morikawa is a little stature guy who does what? Kills the ball.
Yep.
I mean, his record is incredible, bro. I mean, we talked about it just a little bit last week when we kind of alluded to that one screenshot that, it was him and Tiger Woods before they were 24. You remember that?
Yeah.
And I mean, and his accomplishments have been just incredible. And he's still out there. And then he gets engaged this week, right?
Yep.
And you know what the Club Pro guy said? There goes your golf game. He had a 54-hole lead, and he shot a final round 68, 69, and got looped. Got looped by Victor Hovland, who was going 65 deep.
I mean, and Morikawa was 5'9", 160 pounds. I mean, that's not a big dude. I mean, and I love that these guys at a small stature can go out there and compete. Now, look, do you have an advantage if you're a big guy and you can straight bust it like a Dustin Johnson? Of course. But man, I just love that it gives my son, who's just a sports nut, hope that one day I maybe I can compete because I'm going to be 5'10". He's not going to be 6'4".
Well, I mean, I think that Zach Johnson is living proof of that too. I mean, there's a guy that won a Masters and a British Open, who really, if you walk by him at a mall, you wouldn't even know who he is.
Yep.
Right. And I mean, but he was the best wedge player on the tour and arguably still is the best wedge player out on tour for quite some time. And he won championships, majors. Majors. That guy's always going to be at the dinner. I heard Tiger Woods talking at the Hero World Challenge about, one of the great privileges is to, go to these champions dinners. I mean, think about that. That was kind of taken away from him and coming back to the Masters because of his car accident. He, was going to get to host as the defending champion. And, what was, hearing him talk about the British Open and his ability wanting to play in the 150th plan at St. Andrews.
Right.
And go to that dinner. And he was like, man, I met Peter Thompson at that. And he was like, that thing's priceless.
Yeah.
And I mean, and there's a guy that has everything, right?
Has everything.
So, I mean, and guess who's going to be at that dinner table? Zach Johnson.
That's right. I mean, yeah, because, it's a great point. And I think, man, it
is a great
how cool would it be to have a major in your pocket?
It would be unbelievable. I mean, and you think that, we've kind of alluded to this before, but I think that, if you had them all, this year's coming up is going to be a pretty spectacular run. I mean, again, you got the Masters, you got Southern Hills for the PGA Championship being played in May now. You have the U.S. Open that's going to be at Brookline, and then you have, the Open Championship, which is the last major of the year, in July at St. Andrews, the 150th playing. So it's just going to be great. And I mean, if you win one, you want to win one that's going to have that club. And I mean, I as much as I would like to say I'm probably more American than the next man, the U.S. Open is just not that club for me.
I agree.
It's just not that. I've been in the U.S. Open clubs. It's pretty cool when you go there.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, I don't belong in the U.S. Open club. Now, the People's Champ, give me the Open Championship. And then, obviously, the green jacket and what goes along with that. And, I mean, you've been there, right, T?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's incredible when you go down there. And
no. I've not been to Augusta. I want to go to Augusta.
You've never been
I've never been there. No.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Bill
I want to go.
It, though. I mean, he said he played
Jack's played it. Jack's played it
too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I'd love to just go and step on the grounds, but no, I've not
It was incredible. I mean, it's the most incredible golf course and facility that I've ever stepped on the grounds. And I mean, and you just feel it coming into there.
Yeah.
And then you feel it leaving there. And it is awesome. So, definitely want to get down there for that. But I would have to say that would be a second on my list.
Right.
I mean, even though I would love to play that par 3 course over and over and over, if I ever go there.
Is the par 3 course as well maintained as the regular course?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean everything. Everything is just right off. But I mean, they have all the villas and cottages that are right there. Kind of overlook the par 3 course. You get those 2 that run down the fairway on hole number 10. Really nothing on the front 9. So everything's kind of like centered around that par 3 course backwards.
Gotcha.
So I would have to assume that if you're there, you're just looping around that thing. They ought to have lights on it.
Josh, how is it they keep Augusta so well maintained? Is it the money? Is it the time, effort, money, or is it
location too?
Location's a big piece of it.
Yeah, you think about where they're at. I mean, they're in a great spot for grass. I mean, it's a warm season down there, so they have the warm season grass. I mean, it's all pretty much Bermuda. I mean, whatever that is, and then they're able to seed it in with a little bit of rye, which Bermuda will choke out exactly when the summer takes over, and it's just like it's always green. And then what was crazy about it too, T, what I thought was really interesting is all the artificial turf that's been put there,
right?
That is in the main areas of,
and it's for aesthetics.
Yeah, well, and it's for traffic too.
Okay,
and so that's where you're walking down like to the right of number 10 and number 1 on the big hills, kind of turf to where that day when it had rained and they let everybody back on, people were walking down there, and if you were walking too fast and not paying attention, you would fall down.
It'd be slippery.
But yeah, they had that a couple times, but yeah, it's incredible. And then you factor in, I mean, they got the best of the maintenance equipment. They're, when you're a facility like that, you're getting all the prototypes. I mean, they're sitting in the new Titleist Pilates or Pilates, Titleist Pro Vs. Went way back on the time right there. But back in the day, I guarantee
they had the Pilates back then.
They had the best Pilates
in
the game right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just the long-standing practices of that being the best, and the product that they put out on TV probably hurt the normal golf course superintendent and club managers and everything like that, just because of the perfection. I mean, and this being around golf, there's board members that want to make that their place every day,
right?
And so as you have that, I mean, how much good is it? Or was it for that time when TV was coming on? It was awesome because it grew the game,
right?
But then it also put in those perceptions of what TV is, and this is perfect, and it needs to be perfect like it,
right?
And that's why I like, I will say this about the USGA. A couple of things that, and they actually had a really good story where, a guy like my man X Xander, who we had on, they're going to have a national championship for paralyzed players and legally blind players.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And going to be at Pinehurst number 6.
Nice.
Pinehurst is now the USGA's second home.
Okay.
They were always based out of New Jersey, Bedmark, New Jersey, I believe. And when they are moving down south and they have a quarters right there in Pinehurst, and they made this partnership, and then being able to have a national championship as such as that is awesome.
Not a bad place to have your second home.
And and the other thing that they did, they brought the USGA championships back to the public golf course.
Yeah.
Now, they're high-end public golf courses, they're resort courses, but you know what? If you want to go play, you can make a point to go all the way out to Washington and go play Chambers Bay.
Yeah.
Right? So, they've made some really good strides in that regards in trying to promote the game back to what it needs to be at grassroots. And just like we said, I mean, guys like Josh Teeter and JB Holmes, I mean, they're not coming through private clubs, and they're coming through out of the grassroots, and the guys that are out in the the Baldwins.
And JB was
Bobby
Taylor
Baldwin,
County and
Steve Baldwin. I mean,
Campbellsville University.
I mean, the list can go on and on. I mean, Kurt Schooley down there at Jupiter Hills.
Yep.
Or Gene Howland. I mean, who grew some great players. He was a former PGA professional. He's in the Hall of Fame over there next door. He's a great PGA professional that was at a municipal golf course that put out historic players.
Yeah,
and so they come out and they come through there, and then being able to go and play these golf courses at public venues, I think has been a great move from the USGA. So, kind of going back, to what has happened in golf, and was the Masters, how is it so perfect? It's perfect because that's how they expect it to be.
Yeah.
And
I get it. And look, money can buy a lot of things.
Leader. Right. Yeah, they're an industry leader.
I got a question here since we're on the golf course topic. Why do you think the PGA shop in Valhalla?
Woo, that's a great question. I mean, I think, man, I wish I would have been able. I'm sure that that was discussed in our PGA meeting, which unfortunately I wasn't able to go to on Monday. And
do you think they would have brought that up?
Oh, I'm sure somebody brought that up. I mean, the back of the crowd at the PGA meeting is always the best. So somebody.
I mean, because let's be honest, the implications for the city of Louisville are pretty enormous. Because when there is an event here, it brings hundreds of millions of dollars to the city. So, and the city embraces it, and really Louisville can do it as well as anybody because we're a big event town.
For sure.
I was curious when I saw that. Why would they, having Valhalla in their back pocket to be able to say, all right, well, we're going to have the PGA Championship here. We're going to have the Ryder Cup here. Seems like it was a brilliant move. I'm curious why they feel like they need to move away from that.
Well, they've moved away from some of their properties. My limited knowledge and just what I'll say on this is they've moved away from some of their properties as an organization, and you see them relocating and making a headquarters in Frisco, Texas, which is going to be a brilliant move from the PGA of America, and their whole vision of this is fantastic. And
okay.
So I think it's just that play first, and then second, what you said about like future events. So we know the PGA is going to be here in 2024.
Right.
It's back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Awesome.
That's not changing. I mean, Trump is not a member at Valhalla, so I mean,
Yeah,
if he was
we're
a
good.
member, I mean, they did it over there. That's why the PGA is at Southern Hills this year.
Yeah.
But I think that when you look at it in that regards, I mean, the how we handle that upcoming PGA and everything is going to be determined on the future, of what Valhalla holds and the type of facility that it becomes. And I mean, who buys it? I have no clue. I mean, I could see that where maybe, in my opinion, and what I would always hope for as being a former looper and learn the game there is that it would be members. And it would just go back to where it was Valhalla of old, and it wasn't a corporate Valhalla. It was a
high end private club. And I do know when Valhalla was sold to PGA, and then the PGA championships were coming here, there was a lot of members upset because they lost their course for quite a bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, and then just the daily, visitations of those that could just be a PGA of America member and say, hey, you know what? I want to come down to Louisville, and I live, X amount of miles outside of Louisville, and I'm going to make a tee time at Valhalla.
Yeah.
And Valhalla, as being a PGA of America product, is in the position to take money.
Right.
And most of those clubs, Valhalla of old, you
couldn't get on Valhalla.
Well, yeah, and they didn't want your money. They already had it. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's but I do think that, the Ryder Cup probably most likely would never come back here. I mean,
if the PGA sold it.
It's just, the rotations that they go through anyways.
And let's be honest. I mean, there's better golf courses.
Yeah, right. And and I think now, though, I will say this about Valhalla is that the PGA could come back here all the time. And I think that, when you look at it, and especially when you look at the winners that have won here, the proven winners and what they have done for the test of the game. I mean, Mark Brooks, everybody thinks, who's Mark Brooks? Well, Mark Brooks was a fantastic player on the PGA Tour for decades.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted him to win.
Right.
Everybody wanted Tom Watson to win that year in '96. And he was the only championship that he didn't, the only major that he is missing to being,
Tom Watson never won the PGA?
Never won the PGA. Won 5 Opens. He won the U.S. Open twice.
How about that?
2 Masters.
I did not know that.
Never won the PGA, so he's not a Grand Slam member. Had a chance in '96, bro. Had a chance. Dunked it in the water on 13, bro.
Did he really?
Dunked it.
I see. I don't remember that. I was there.
Who had a chance in '96? Phil Mickelson.
Really?
Yeah, Phil Mickelson had a chance. So, and he had a chance all the way through. Up. So, yeah, look up '96. Let's talk about that real quick because I love that I'll never forget in '96. I'll tell you a quick story while you're looking there for all the Valhalla historians. Number 10 was always a driver that would fly out, and there was a little swell to the right by the trees where all the caddies would gather. And if you could drive that swell, you were pretty freaking bombing it, and you had a good loop that day. But most likely that ball would land right there. It started to kind of go up the hill a little bit, and that ball would land and take one hop and plug, or if not plug. So I run all the way out there, and I haven't seen anything. We get on the bus ride. I got to go all the way downtown to get all the way back over there, right? Get on the bus ride right out there. And I'm like, man, hell bent. I don't want to watch anybody hit a shot. I just want to watch somebody hit it off number 10. That's where I'm used to starting on 10. I was just like, I'm going to go start there and find it. And, of course, who the first player was the number 1 player in the world at that time, I believe, Vijay Singh.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was exactly the number, but he was top 5 player in the world at that time. And he hits this one tee. Not only does it fly that swell, it flew the swell, and then it bounced 30 yards in the air and went another 50 yards. I've never seen a ball roll at Valhalla Golf Club.
Interesting.
But the ball rolled 50 yards from where he landed it right there on number 10. Now, again, he flew it kind of on top of that hill, and I'm sure it kind of rose downhill. Fast forward to 2008 and watching J.B. Holmes hitting a drive with a new tee box and he takes it over to that left corner and power fades it all the way over and has like 150 yards in. It wasn't 150, but I mean, I'm like 2 of the best drives I've ever seen in my life right there. So I ran all the way down there for that. But, I think that you look at, not only him, then obviously Tiger Woods in 2000. You look at Rory McIlroy, coming back and getting the dub right there. You look at Tom Watson coming back and getting the club.
The senior.
Yeah, the senior right there. I mean, their history and what they've had right there, they're gonna stay tied to the PGA. I do believe that.
Man, this is interesting.
I do believe that. I think they'll stay tied with the PGA.
I hope so.
Yeah, I do too. I think
for the city of Louisville, I hope so. All right, I'm looking at this 96. This is interesting. Do you know who was leading after round one?
No, I don't.
Kenny Perry.
Oh,
now,
okay.
Kenny Perry tied for the win. Mark Brooks won in a playoff.
You're right. Yeah, it was against
How
Kenny.
Crazy is that? Now,
Whoa,
remember
this? Yeah, let's talk about this.
But hang on. So round two was Phil Mickelson. He was leading. He was 10 under. He was leading by 3 shots. Guess who was leading after round 3? This is what just blew my mind. Think Kentucky.
I'm gonna say.
Think local.
Think local. Fuzzy.
Russ Cochran.
Russ.
He was 11 under after the third round. He had a 2-shot lead over Mark Brooks and Vijay Singh. Kenny Perry was actually 7 under. Kenny Perry came back the final day and shot 68.
Right, and Kenny Perry
got into a playoff.
And he got into a playoff, and basically he was in CBS's booth the entire time leading up.
Yeah.
So he never went out and
He never practiced.
Never practiced, and he just went running out from there because he was doing that interview up there, remember? And everybody always talked about that. Russ Cochran, I mean, there's a name right there that,
How about that?
How about Russ? He really was a fixture on the PGA Tour for quite some time, and he could probably have his own story. He'd be a great guest on Loopers for Life.
Listen to this top 10 here in 96, though.
All right, let's
go. Mark Brooks, Kenny Perry, Steve Elkington was 3rd.
Major winner.
Justin Leonard was 4th.
Major winner, too.
Jasper Parnevik was tied for 5th. Vijay Singh tied for 5th. Lee Jansen, Phil Mickelson, Frank Noblo, Nick Price. I mean, what a field! What a leaderboard!
Yeah, I mean, and let's go. Yeah, Nick Price. I mean, I mean, if you that was the final top 10.
Yeah,
that was the final
in
top
96.
10? All right, go to the final top 10 the year that Tiger won it.
So that was what?
2000.
Okay,
2000. That was a good top 10 right there. I got it.
2000 was?
No. What you just?
Oh, what I just told you. Yeah, man, that was loaded. I mean, that was just like, all right, so your final top 10 in 2000, Tiger obviously beat Bob May in a playoff, and Bob May's a name, not too many people knew. Thomas Bourne was 3rd, Stuart Appleby was 4th, Greg Chalmers 4th, Jose Maria Olazabal, how good was that guy? Nota Begay was up there. How about that? I didn't know Nota Begay even had any top 10s. He had an 8th place finish in that. Fred Funk, Davis Love, Phil Mickelson again. Tom Watson. Well. Tom Watson shot. He was
in contention.
He was 9th.
Yeah, he was in contention right there.
He was 9th. I wonder how old he was then.
Oh, he wasn't as old as when he lost at Turnberry, 6 years later in 2006, whenever it was. And then I'll tell you what, that was pretty good, right? You got to figure Nota Begay played well here because of all the Indian blood that we have. He must have felt like the Iroquois. I mean, he was like, what's this place called? Long Run. I mean, why not come up with Long Run right there? I mean, come up with another tribe before you have Long Run. And old Chenoweth. I mean, that Charlie Vettner, with all due respect, Mr. Vettner, and I appreciate everything that guy did, they should never have named the golf course Charlie Vettner.
Nope.
I mean, it was Chenoweth Golf Course.
Yep.
Still is Chenoweth Golf Course. Some call it TPC of Marydale.
Some
call it J-Town National.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that was a good leaderboard, but it wasn't as good as the
No,
leaderboard before.
it was really not. And and so the guy that was ahead of Tiger was Scott Dunlap. Scott Dunlap wasn't beating Tiger.
Right. And
let
let's
me
just
tell you
talk
something
about this. I mean, with Bob May almost beat Tiger because Bob May beat Tiger a lot back in the day when he was winning everything in California, but he wasn't beating Tiger that day. And Tiger Woods in 2000, I mean, just to cap what that win was, being the season's last major, and for Tiger to come out of that and then go win the Masters the next year and have all 4 majors on his mantle right after that, right? Because he had won what? He won the U.S. Open, he won the British Open, and he won the PGA.
Yeah.
He didn't win. I don't know what his finish was at the Masters that year. He might not have even been in the top 20. Who cares? Because he won the Masters the next year and had all 4 trophies in that, infamous picture that he had before his other infamous picture, which is him in the 9-iron. But so you think about
and his car.
Well, then his third. But I mean, and now with this leg, I mean, this guy, he was all over it. That leaderboard was good. Go to the final one, we got to be getting close on time.
We are close.
Yeah, let's go.
You want to go to 2014?
Yeah, let's go 2014. Let's hear that top 10. And all of our listeners, I mean, again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And my cousin T-Rock right there, listening in on Loopers for Life. I mean, 30 times we're talking about golf. We're talking about golf in Kentucky. But really, we're talking about golf, just the gaming across the globe. There is nothing greater than watching the best players in the world, both male and female, play. And, I think that the game is just such a good one that, when you listen in and you learn something or you fact check us, let us know. We'll call ourselves out.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
for sure, man.
Stuff up on the fly, bro.
Yeah, we are. All right, so listen to this top 10. Wow. Okay. So obviously Rory won over one shot. Phil Mickelson plays well at Valhalla. He is on the board every time.
They have a senior PGA championship. Phil is winning at Valhalla, period.
I mean, he was in it every single event, every time here. So he was second. Ricky Fowler.
Yes.
In third. Henrik Stenson in third. Jim Furyk tied for fifth. Ernie Els tied for seventh.
How about that?
Hunter Mahan, Steve Stricker, Jimmy Walker. It's a pretty good leaderboard there.
Yeah, that is a good leaderboard. I mean, I think that, again, going back to it, who buys Valhalla, how's that play out? The partnership that the PGA of America has with, the Omni and some of these resorts. I think that the PGA of America will always, the PGA Championship, which is ran by the PGA of America, will always keep Valhalla in the mix.
I don't know, man. I hope so.
Look, you see it. It's tied to it historically, and then you see it with the revenues that's produced when we host it. I mean, because what's Louisville do?
Well, that's just it. They show up. Yeah. And it's a great place. It's centrally located. It's easy to get to from a lot of big cities, right? So you can get here from Indy. You can get here from Nashville. You can get here from all over the different, in Cincinnati. So there's a lot of big cities. You can get here quick. They're going to show up. They're going to sell a record amount of tickets. And it's going to be nuts. That's why you bring it. And we're a big city town. We know how to do big events.
Well, here's what I want.
We know how to do Derby. We can do this.
And the regional championships are coming here through the Yum Center and through everything. I mean, this is we are that. And the easy to get to is huge.
Well, yeah, we're centrally located from all over the place.
Well, here's what I would like. Anybody listening that just heard all this, I mean, let's talk about those 3 leaderboards and those top 10 lists, and I want you to tell me which one's the best. I mean, if you could post that up on our social media on anything.
I think 96 my vote.
96 would be your vote?
Well, I don't know, though. But see, the problem is Mark Brooks is at the top of that. So,
well, I mean, you look at his record. Hey,
Bob May is not very strong. I hear you on the whole California thing.
2014. I mean, I'm going to look at 2014, and man, that 96 was good though. I mean, there was major champions on that.
Bob May only had one other top 20 in a major, and that was the 2000 Open. That was it.
He had a good year.
He had a good year.
He was leading. He was playing well coming into that.
But that's it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not like Bob May was a big name.
That 2014 board is pretty
it's pretty
impressive.
Stout.
I mean, you got Ernie Els that kind of snuck in there on me. I was like, wow, man. I remembered that.
And he was right there.
Yeah, he was in the mix all the way up until like 16 or something like that.
Well, Ernie shot 65 on the final day.
Oh, is that right?
That's what I'm looking at. So Ernie got himself into it.
Ricky Fowler was the one that kind of fell off.
But see, Ricky shot 68 on the final day. It's not like he played bad.
Somebody fell off on 16 because I know I've fallen off on 16 many times at Valhalla. And so it's just, if you let's look at those leaderboards. Maybe Teague will post those
I think it was Weisberger.
Somebody, just rank them.
Bernard Weisberger was right there, and then he's not even like anywhere. You can't even find him on the final day. So, and he was tied for the lead going into the final day.
Well, I looked at Russ Cochran. Russ,
how about that?
Yeah, Russ played.
That blew my mind.
Yeah, one professional win, which blows my mind. I mean, I thought that he would have more than just one, but he only had one win on the PGA Tour. And, on the fly, where I think it was? On the fly? Fact check me.
I'm going to fact check you here.
All right. I'm going to say. And I did look to just see that he won, but now that I know it, I'm going to say it's at the Colonial.
What makes you think that?
Because there is a ton of Kentucky players that have won at the Colonial.
And that's the only reason you're going to say that.
And that is a shot maker's course. That's Ben Hogan's home course. That's, the Texas swing. and that's my guess.
You're right. He's won once, and he won at the Central Western Open.
Oh, dang.
1991.
Central Western Open. That wasn't the Colonial.
No, I don't even know where that's at.
It's in Central Western.
Central Western something.
I mean, wherever that is. It's got to be Utah, maybe?
I don't know.
Who knows? All right. Well, hey, again, let us know on that on the Valhalla thing, because that was a great little
Chicago.
That was in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good for him. I mean, he made a lot of money playing golf, bro.
Oh, he did great.
He's one of the great players.
What's Russ doing these days? Do you have
We
any
need
idea?
to have him on the pod. I mean,
where's he at? He needs to come on and tell us what he's doing.
I mean,
Because he's got a couple kids that are out there playing.
Anybody knows? I mean, Russ, if you ever want to come on the pod, let's
go.
know. I mean, we really respect everything that you've done for the game of golf in Kentucky. I mean, you balled out, man. I mean, right there.
Lefty, right?
Yeah,
Russ Cochran was left-handed.
I mean, think about how like all the great Kentucky players played at Valhalla. And just a side note on that, when it comes, I mean, that's like some homeschool pressure on my boy JT.
Yeah.
It
really is.
You look at what Kenny Perry did. You look at what JB Holmes, what they accomplished in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You go talk about this, that, and the other. I mean, it's just the ties to that place, and I think that how awesome would that be if JT put his name?
Oh man, this place would go nuts.
But honestly, he needs to be on there because I mean, the likes of the last few, Tiger Woods and Rory.
Hey, the city would go. Can you imagine the roars? Him walking around, he'd be crazy.
It would.
People would be pulling for him big time,
all the way. I mean, and so it's him being able to handle that, and maybe just that would be awesome.
Yeah, man.
I mean, just think about that. I mean, that would be an incredible week here in Kentucky if that happened.
He's going to grind it. I think he's going to get everything he's got to do it. And he'll probably come here early and spend a lot of time on the course. I don't know, man. He's got a shot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's one of the best players in the world. So, I mean, he's going to have a shot at all these majors. And he's the type of guy that has looked at Tiger Woods and what Tiger Woods has accomplished and continues to set the trend for hey, I'll show up at these big tournaments and I can play this.
Yep.
That's been his motto anyways, and he's been on top of the board. Hopefully this coming season that we can see him. Honestly, I'd like to see him get the dub with the green jacket, first, or get the dub. I'm going to give him the dub anywhere. I mean, he's already got the PGA Championship. I'd like to see it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But, I think that it would be awesome. And then, a guy like Jared Wolf, how are we not going to come? Jared Wolf's going to play in that PGA Championship.
I hope so.
Bet. I mean, I got him down on that.
I hope
Jared,
so.
We got you down on that bet. If you want to come in and talk about that, we're open for a podcast member. So
come on, Jared.
We'll look at Big J too. So again, Loopers for Life. Check us out on all of our Instagram.
Yep.
Or not our Instagram. We're going to one day have Instagram.
We'll have it one day. Yeah.
I mean, once we get,
whenever I find some time.
Yeah. I mean, you are the program director and the man. This place, this studio has been fantastic. Hey, everything. Twitter.
Game 30, Josh.
BuzzFeed. Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, iHeart. Spotify.
Yeah, we're there. Facebook Live this morning. Appreciate you checking in. Check it out. We are out. Hey, JT, roll tide.